So today's nugget is in continuation to the one that I had last month, which was on executive presence. So how many of you remember what was those three elements that constitute executive presence? Anyone? Uma, Vikas? The three constituents of executive presence.
Was one of them living in the present?
Yeah.
Was one of them living in the present?
Okay, not really.
I remember gravitas very well. That's about it.
Yes, you got that. So full points to Uma. Okay, cool. So, okay, here goes. So probably this will help you, Vikas. Do you remember this? All right. So what is executive presence? Quickly do a recap and then we move forward. So if we had to just talk about when you enter a room and people look at you, and when you start walking, people start following you with their eyes. And when you start talking and people start listening to you, and when you tell them certain things to do, they just go straight ahead and do it. Now that's called executive presence. And you can just imagine yourself being a celebrity when you walk in and everyone is looking at you. They are expecting you to say something, do something, and they're just simply hanging on to everything that you are either sharing with them or you want to ask them to do. So in short, our executive presence basically is something that we develop within our core, from where we create that influence in the inner core of ourselves, and then the impact of it is seen outside in the outer world when we start communicating with others. And this model that you see on the screen is basically a model that represents the elements of executive presence. So while you may just see that appearance is just 5%, but this is really the door opener, because if you don't get this right, and we talked about how people will judge you in flat 6 seconds. If you don't get this right, and your first impression on people around you might just, you might just miss the mark, and you might just miss what is it that you wish to achieve in that interaction. Secondly comes your communication, the way you speak. But imagine the majority of what really constitutes your EP or executive presence is basically how you behave, your gravitas. And this is basically the way you carry yourself, the way you, the mannerisms, the way you conduct yourself. So many things out there. So today we're going to largely touch upon appearance, and because this itself is a one-day program, but we'll largely touch upon a little bit upon appearance, given that we have a short time slot here, and also about some of the other things when it comes to the way we interact with people. So how does impact really happen? It happens through our presence. And let us look at these few famous personalities. So when you look at Amitabh Bachchan, what's that first word that comes out when you just look at him? What's that first word?
Suave.
Yeah. Anyone?
Class.
Okay, how about Miss Sen?
Miss Universe.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what you see in both these,
Poise.
class, poise,
Essence.
elegance, charisma, all of these words that basically are the defining elements of executive presence, because these people are larger than life, right? So if you notice that, what is really common in both these personalities, and not just their appearance, is also their mannerisms, also their etiquettes. So basically, this is what all, these are the three things that bring them together, that actually helps you create that first impact. So we're talking about first impact here. And to be for a professional, when he goes about, meeting somebody for the first time, right? It's mostly the moment people see him and the moment he starts speaking, that is around his presentation, his communication, of which active listening and the way he builds that rapport with people, his interpersonal skills, is a great way to bring that warmth into that relationship and have that impact on that person whom is meeting for the very first time. Again, professionally, you might be out meeting people on a business meet. So they will be looking at your dining etiquette. And these are the small things that really have a big impact. How do you conduct your meetings? How professionally ingrained, those courtesies, those mannerisms are there. How do you allow people to talk? And if somebody's not talking, are you asking them to come in and, actually contribute to the discussion? So small things, but these have, impact. Now, these are the first few things which people, your kind of an impact on them is going to, get them to create or rather have a certain impression. And these are really the first impressions. But if you were to have a sustained impact, if you really wanted that you have a sustained impact on the way people look at you, the way people talk about you when you're not in the room, then it has a lot to do with the other side, the right side, which is your attitude, which is the way you go about your work, which is all your discipline, the way you behave at work. And also when your meetings, have you come prepared? What is the quality of discussion? So few things, if you say that you're going to do something, are you doing it? So integrity out there. So impact can happen at the first instance by, things that are listed from the left side. But for continued and sustained impact, it's basically the things on the right side that actually help you forge and, move forward in that relationship, in that rapport that you've built in, and to continue to have that impact. So what else, right? This is just to give you a starter. Today we're talking about appearance, and imagine, there are so many things, the way you carry yourself, handshaking, the way you handshake, your complete grooming. How do you introduce yourself? Are you a great listener? How do you go about, using your voice modulations? If you meet somebody, do you have great recognition of their name and faces? So few things, but then yes, this is very important. Look at these pictures and you would notice that in her various avatars, of course, as a celebrity, no doubt, but in her various avatars, Kangana comes across as someone who is, any guesses? What's the first word?
Upfront.
Defiant. Defiant.
Exactly. And she's someone who's very comfortable in her skin, right in your face, and doesn't really feel intimidated. She'll make others intimidated, but not herself. So those are the things that define her. Now you have to look at yourself. What is it how are you defining yourself, and how do you want to appear to the world? And how do you carry yourself so that you're able to give that impression? So is it a professional? Is it somebody who is very self-conscious? So welcome, Priyanka. Great to see you here. So if you're a life coach, how do you want to, appear to the world? Your physical appearance, your charisma, your carriage. How do you want the world? What's the kind of impact you want to have? So those are the things which, are worth giving a few, minutes of your time so that you can, decide how do you want to put that across. Grooming, imagine. I mean, we all know that this is really important, but then let's look at very few things, right? Wearing neat and iron clothes, like these are basic grooming fundamentals. Always being neatly, having neat and trimmed hair, using light colognes, look at your nails, clean and trimmed. If you're wearing jewelry, it should be limited and it should look professional. And of course, whatever you wear, it should, depending on the occasion, if it's formal, then formal wear. If it's not formal, then semi-formal, then you can go ahead and use your wardrobe. In fact, make sure that your wardrobe is managed in a way that you're going more for fit versus brand. You are more focused on quality of wardrobe over quantity, and look at basic essentials over whatever the current trends in fashion and style could be. So these are some tips which you could use to manage your wardrobe. look at this pic and you can definitely see the before and the after. So a good outfit makes a man appear trimmer, taller, and stronger, right? And similarly, for women, uh, be comfortable in what you wear. Many a times we may wear something we're not comfortable in. So make sure that you're wearing something you're very comfortable in, whether it's Indian or formal or Western. Uh, be in your skin and wear what you feel you're most comfortable with. And of course, it should be appropriate to the occasion. Quickly, we move to how do you actually meet people? What are the kind of handshakes? So a handshake should be firm. It should not be bone crushing. It should last about 3 seconds. So maybe pump once or twice and just make sure that you have a good eye contact and a smile to go with it. And if you're really meeting somebody socially, make sure that you're holding your drink in your left hand so that you don't end up giving a cold or a wet handshake, because that is really unpleasant. So small etiquettes really go a long way. Any handshake basically transmits 3 kinds of attitudes. One is of dominance, the other of submission, and the third is of equality. And the way dominance is showed, when you turn somebody's palm and your palm is on the upper side and the other person's palm is on the lower side, as you can see from the diagram. So this is something that shows dominance. So when you do this, be aware, and I'll show you a pic, shortly, where you can see the person demonstrating this kind of a handshake. Imagine submission, which is you are yourself, turning your hand so that your palm is facing upwards. So that is showing your submission. And equality is when, of course, it's a straight shake. So it is not turning downwards or upwards. It's just straight ahead. And that shows equality. And so many things you can really know by the way you shake hands or somebody else is shaking hands with you. And that's really what matters. So a few more handshakes, which you can see. These are some other depictions. And yes, this is the one that I was talking about. You can see from here that the how Trump is not even aware how his handshake is. He's actually being dominated, and he just has a smile, and he's totally unawares. But yes, this is a pic that caught the attention of the world and also of the photographer, who just clipped it right there, and it was in the news. And this is like some time back, not very recent times. So again, how you shake your hands tells a lot about you. So some people will just clasp, the end. So this shows the nervousness. Some people will go ahead and, give it a good shake. This shows your confidence. So be aware and look at yourself. How do you really go out and shake hands? Yeah, this is another one. So straight arm. So the way to really go about having a good handshake is obviously using the equality one. Make it professional, make it brief, like about 3 seconds, and make sure that you maintain eye contact with a nice smile. So on appearance, we've talked about, some bit of the professional, the etiquettes, and on handshakes today. Now a little bit about body language basics, because this is where you're going to basically, let people know. And this is when you're not even talking. You haven't even started to talk, but your body is already talking. So make sure that your body communicates as well as your mouth. So it's like you're speaking the same language. Don't contradict yourself. It's a very famous thing. And look at all these poses. So some are power poses, some are low poses. It's just showcasing that, even without speaking, your body is already talking. If you're walking with one hand in your pocket, or you're standing with both the hands on your hips, or one hand on your hip and other hand in a gesture, it just shows the way you think about yourself, your own self-esteem, your confidence just shines through. So just make sure that you are sending out the right message, because that does impact the way people see. If you're nervous, your body will show it even before you start speaking. So you've got to be conscious about how you walk, how you talk. And I always say this to students or rather to people who go out for interviews, that, one part of the interview is already over when you walk in, when you shake hand. when you say hello, when you take your seat, because the person who you're meeting up, the one who's interviewing you, has already in those first 6-7 seconds already got a gist of who you are inside through all these little actions. So as you can see, again, some more pics to show you how your body language and how your facial expressions now. So can you look at this one on the left one, the first one? What does this pic denote? What's the body language here? The first pic.
Defensive pose.
Okay, so it's like beefed up muscles in a crossed arm look. So is that defensive? It could be.
Threatening, overpowering.
Yeah.
At least
Not
not
in
friendly.
receiving mode.
Yeah.
Not a friendly one for sure. Not a welcoming one.
Yes, not interested. So speak what you have to speak. I'm not interested because, I'm closed. I've put my arms around.
More
myself.
confidence, maybe.
Yeah. Not confidence, but actually I'm closed. So when
Not receptive.
cross your arms.
Not receptive.
your legs, yes. This is a pose that says, I'm not interested. I am not interested in what you have to say. Okay, and then look at this second one.
The comfy one.
Sulking.
Okay.
Not happy. Not happy.
Yes, not happy. Exactly. And look at this one.
Annoyed.
Agitated.
Doubt. Grumpy.
Very good.
Maybe in doubt.
Yeah.
Offended.
Yeah.
Offended.
Exactly. So we communicate through expressions, we communicate through our body language, we communicate through the way we walk and talk and shake our hands. These are all the ways in which we are communicating, right? And this is a very famous study called the Mehrabian study by Professor Albert from UCLA. And he spoke about these percentages that 55% of your body, the non-verbal part of communication comes from 55%, which is your body language. And the rest, imagine only 7% is spoken words, but 38%, and this is where your voice modulation is so important. Are you speaking quickly? Are you speaking slowly? Are you, like your pitch is high or your pitch is low, which is about 38%. Because even the way you speak, the tone and the speed and the strength with which you speak has a message. So if you have a high pitch, it some way shows anxiousness. And if you have a low pitch, there's more, solidarity to it. Similarly, if you speak too fast, then you're like, again, anxious because you want to get over it quickly. And if you speak slow, then actually people listen to you. So if you look at all these big celebrities, they are always at ease and always speaking so slow that everybody is really listening, and we know of great communicators. They will probably have just one message, but they'll take 5 minutes to talk about it. So on stage and sharing. So these are the elements, and which is an important element of executive presence. So again, you can see the various emotions on a person's face here, in again a great deal of information without even speaking, and that's the point that I really wanted to share. So we can adopt a dominant or an authoritative approach, or we can just use a friendly or an equal approach by using some of these high power or low power poses. So the more open your body is, you can see on the right, the person is again closed. You can see he's seated, but everything is very close. So those are all low power. These are low power means low confidence or disinterest. And high power is, as you can see, wide arms, open, a little bit of style there. And these are, the high power poses. So you can just watch yourself and see how do you actually sit, how do you actually stand. Again, a good posture really makes up for everything else. A poor posture where your head forward, and on the right side you have a swayed back. All of these you can sense, that there's something which is not right. The good one, the right posture here is when you have a balanced and an upright posture, which is really straight from the head to the toe. You can see it's a straight line. There are no curves in the way you're standing. It's straight. And again, that has a lot to do with the way you also finally walk. Look at this. The authoritative pose, right? So when Hillary does that, it's showing to the world that, I'm the leader here, right? So hail Hitler. Again, some more poses, closed ones and also
Open
more
ones.
open ones. Yeah, the figure A is more open, B is closed. Again, crossed legs is closed. C, you can, in the middle, you can see they're sitting up straight, right? And yes, confidence, smartness, all of that. The on the extreme right is again very closed. So these are some of the ways in which actually people communicate. And when you have open lip smiling, when you show your hands, when you're seated and you unbutton your coat, this all shows openness and warmth. And so I invite you to use, to be first aware of how the poses look like, and then look at yourself as to where do you see yourself when you go out and talk to people. So these are all ways in which people, without talking, are already communicating. And you can look within to see whether there's suspicion, whether there's defensiveness, whether people are thinking alike, and whether they are ready to actually pace and lead. So these are the different ways in which one can actually communicate and now command. So here, this is a great technique which people use so that they're able to get the person to think like yourself. And it's like copying, it's like a mirror image. So sitting and or standing, whatever be it. And of course, when a person says something and you say, okay, this is what I heard, when you're repeating verbatim, many of the discussions that you might have with a client or with somebody who you wish to really collaborate with, this is a great technique, which kind of puts the client or the other person at ease because he sees similarity. And this is really, something very unconsciously done. It's not like a conscious effort. It's very unconsciously done. The other person wouldn't even notice it. But yes, if you're doing it, then you know that you're doing it. Some more, positive approach. These are just ways, again, body language, the ways in which. So your impact on the world is really significant, whether or not you're really aware of it, and even whether or not you desire it. So go ahead, go out there and make your impact in the world and make sure that you're doing it the right way. Thank you so much.